Hello friends, welcome to our session today. I'm very happy to be with you again. It's always a pleasure to get messages and questions about meditation and the principles behind it, because then we can focus on what is most relevant to us. Today, I'd like us to think together about one of the challenges that often comes up. It's to do with the gap there seems to be between our ideal, which promises fearlessness, fulfillment, and perfect inner freedom, and our practical experience. We are expressing this when we say things like, non-duality makes sense, but I don't feel it. Theoretically, intellectually, I understand that all is one, that there are countless points of view, but not more than one reality. How could it be otherwise? Yet somehow, I don't seem to feel it. Shouldn't it make me feel free from anxiety and enjoy a blissful sense of oneness with the power behind everything? But somehow I don't. I feel that there's so much I don't understand. I still get anxious and bad-tempered. I feel vulnerable and sometimes just flat and empty. So, am I missing something or doing something wrong? It is natural and healthy to ask such questions. It shows that our interest is not just academic or theoretical. It is right to look for solutions in the one place where they can be found, that is, in the condition of our own mind. And it is good to be conscious of all the powerful psychological energies at work within us, because we want to harness and find the right channel for all these currents of thought and vitality. So let's think about this question of non-duality and how we want to feel. First, we notice something essential about feelings and why they affect us so much, which is that feelings are constantly changing. It is in their nature to change. Like time and music and rivers and life, feelings are never still. Equally, what we call a good feeling or the right feeling constantly changes. Sometimes the good we want to and feel is complete peace. Other times we want the good feeling of being creative and dynamic. Sometimes we need the feeling of intensely involved emotion. At others, the relief of easy light-heartedness. Sometimes we want to feel significant, valued, influential. At other times to be totally unburdened. Sometimes we want what is familiar, homely, deeply personal. At other times we want adventure and new discoveries. So the essential nature of our human feelings is to change, and so does what constitutes feeling good. What follows is that within our feelings there cannot be complete fulfillment or security, because even at their best and highest, feelings include the certainty that they will pass. What feels good and right now will also be subject to change. In contrast, as we realize, The non-dual reality must be beyond changes and limitations. This changeless reality is the ultimate fact of our being, as well as the sustainer of the world appearance. And so we come to the conclusion that our feelings cannot encompass non-duality, that one cannot in fact feel non-duality. In truth then, what we are seeking, longing for, and what the non-dual teaching assures us is there to be found, is something greater than thought and feeling, which will come to life as our inquiry progresses. So what are we to do? The will to feel good is constantly at work within us. We cannot deny or ignore this essential human motivation, but it is to be engaged in such a way that our emotions and our will to feel good bring about the expansion of our consciousness in peace and wisdom, so that we lead our mind through feeling, so to say, to that within us which is greater than feeling, beyond limitations, to the universal. What is the way forward? Let us tackle it in two stages. The first stage is what we might call immediate self-help. Techniques and tactics we can apply to our situation, whatever it is, right now. The second stage is our long-term strategy, how we can progress towards our ultimate goal. Let us begin with stage one. There are many ways we can help ourselves, some very familiar. It always helps to breathe deeply, if we can only remember to do so. Then, for example, at any time we can rest our attention on the heart center and think of our life energy flowing here, of peaceful, nurturing power emanating here from the source of all life. Such methods of self-help can be applied in any circumstances. To equip ourselves with something we can draw upon at any time, we can make use of the principle of light. We can make light our main instrument for dealing with life. What do we mean by this? When we notice dark thoughts in our mind, think of light. Dark moods in our heart, bring in light. If we find ourselves apparently at odds with other personalities, facing seemingly incompatible views or actions, then turn to light. Focus your own thoughts on light and shine mental light on the outer situation. We remember that light does not fight darkness or argue with darkness. In fact, light has nothing to do with darkness at all. Another aspect of light is its immediacy. Heat may take time to warm something up. Effort needs time to produce a result. But the effect of light is immediate. Similarly, we don't need to wait for help to lift our mood. if we find ourselves waiting for something external to make us feel better, let us not forget that there is always something we can do for ourselves. In fact, only we can really help ourselves. And the good news is that we have the power to do so. We can always turn to the light. It doesn't have to be a struggle or a fight. The one thing we do need is to remember. We need to be alert to our inner state, which is another way of saying that we need to live consciously. And this brings us to what we called stage 2. How we can further our long-term development, our progress towards the ultimate goal. So first let us ask ourselves, what is that goal? Let us frankly, bravely ask ourselves, what do I really want? What would make me completely satisfied, entirely fulfilled? The non-dual teachings are most relevant to us when the answer to this question is, yes, I enjoy the things that make life pleasant and rewarding. But I have also realized that none of these things can be completely satisfying. What I am longing for and can entirely fulfill me is something that is free from change, lasting, absolute. When this is our sincere conviction, then non-duality really makes sense. What can we do to deepen this realization and have it color and energize our whole being? Once again, we don't have to wait for something outside to help us. Reality is around us and within us at all times, and our feeling of separation is a point of view, not the ultimate truth. In fact, our true self is not separate from that supreme reality, and to know this in its fullness is called liberation, enlightenment, true self-knowledge. Now it's for us to absorb this teaching by using our own reason and imagination to support it. This constructive use of our mind is what is meant by the practice of reflection and inquiry. We pursue our inquiry into the truth at the core of our being in a specially focused way during the time we put aside each day for meditation. At this time, the truth indicated in the meditation is held steadily before the inner eye so that it may pass through the layers of mental activity to the ground of our being, so to say. The ideal is a steady stream of conscious attention, like a flow of oil. Every time a single random thought is replaced by this conscious flow, a further particle of light shines within. As we sustain our reflections and meditations, the self-luminous truth and beauty at the core of our being will exert a growing attraction on the most sensitive filaments of our mind. What can we do during the day to nurture this growth? Our life is a stream of experiences illumined by the light of consciousness. We gain the right perspective when we think of self as light and the ultimate illuminator of all experience and phenomena. We know that physical light belongs to the spectrum of energies that underlie the external world. So light in this sense is the basis of the outer world and also the illuminator of experience from within. Thus light, when understood as that which reveals all and sustains all, is a pointer to the resolution of all divisions in perfect wholeness and completeness. All feelings, urges and human needs find fulfillment in the realization of this light. So friends, it is now time for us to approach this light within ourselves by doing our practices together. We begin with an inner preparation. What do we mean by inner preparation? It means coming to our practices in the most helpful state of mind. First, we check, where is my attention right now? Is my mind full of thoughts about yesterday and tomorrow, what happened or might happen? Then we tell our mind, now is the time to see things in the right perspective. We do this by turning our attention from the objects that fill our mind to the inner light of awareness that illumines them. From the passing show to the abiding presence in which they manifest. So let us sit for a minute or two, reminding ourselves that this is the time when we can unfold our highest potentiality. It is the time to be receptive, to be inwardly independent, at one with the ever-present, ever-illumined reality at the center of our being. So we turn within to that in us which is ever-present, ever-illumined. And we'll do this now for a minute or two. Now we are going to do a breathing practice. Breathe slowly and consciously. As you breathe in, feel that the breath is being drawn up, as it were, from the region of the navel to the point between the eyebrows. When you have established a rhythm of conscious breathing in this way, then with each breath say silently to yourself the word light. As we have discovered in our own experience, deep conscious breathing always helps to make our mind peaceful and controlled. By adding the word light, we deepen the practice. When we say light, we are lifting our attention from our thoughts and feelings to the ever-present light that illumines them. As we reflected earlier, light includes physical light and also the light of our awareness, and that is not separate from the pure consciousness which underlies all sentient life and manifestations of intelligence. We'll do the practice together now for 4 minutes. First, we establish a rhythm in our breathing. Breathe a little more deeply than usual. Feel that the in-breath is being drawn up from the navel to the point between the eyebrows. Try to make the in-breath and the out-breath about the same length. Once this rhythm is established, we say inwardly, silently, the word light. conscious breathing and light. Next, we're going to do a visualization practice. Picture in your mind a sunrise. See the sun appearing on the horizon, moving slowly upwards. See the whole scene gradually brighten until the sun becomes a mass of radiant splendor. A sunrise is chosen as our focus because of its purity and grandeur, its daily newness, and because the rise of the sun each day is independent of human will and power. It is also something most of us have seen, perhaps many times. But have we really seen a sunrise? Or have we simply noticed that one is happening? Often we are so lost in our thoughts that the beauty around us makes little impression. Similarly, in regard to our inner being, those same thoughts which fill our inner space hide from us what is most valuable in our own mind. In this visualization, we practice focusing our attention and imagination one-pointedly so that we do not just notice a sunrise, but really see it. For these few minutes, we are fully present in the growing light emanating from the rising sun that fills the world with light, warmth, and color. Let us be the artists who create this imaginary picture and fully absorb our attention and imagination in this beauty so that nothing distracts us. Once again, the practice is to picture in your mind a sunrise. See the sun appearing on the horizon, moving slowly upwards. See the whole scene gradually brighten until the sun becomes a mass of radiant splendor. Keep your focus on the rising sun. The whole scene brightens and the sun becomes a mass of radiant splendor. Now we're going to meditate on a text, on some specially chosen words which point to the pure non-dual truth. The text is this: like the rising sun, I shed the light of peace. Eternal truth am I, bliss am I. This meditation text points to the ultimate reality in our own being and in all. At this time of meditation, the words are to be calmly affirmed, not reasoned over. We did our reasoning earlier. Meditation is the time for affirmation. The first sentence, like the rising sun, I shed the light of peace, indicates that inner peace and light are deeply interconnected. The more our inner world is harmonious and serene, the more the light of conscious awareness shines into our experience. Equally, the growing light promotes that harmony and integrity. And the more these qualities arise in us, the more they will naturally influence the situation around us. The next sentence is, eternal truth am I, bliss am I, are not pointing to our personality, but to our innermost self, our I. This is the pure consciousness that underlies our mind and all experience. This foundation of our being and of all being is beyond change and suffering, that is, bliss. So let us meditate for 5 minutes on this text. Like the rising sun, I shed the light of peace. Eternal truth am I, bliss am I. Like the rising sun, I shed the light of peace. Eternal truth am I, bliss am I. Like the rising sun, I shed the light of peace. Eternal truth am I, bliss am I. Eternal truth am I, bliss am I. We end our meditation session with a closing practice. This sets our individual efforts in a wider context and helps us to resume our responsibilities in the world in a spirit of active goodwill, based on the vision of underlying unity. The closing practice is to send out thoughts of peace, light, and harmony to all without exception. At the same time, let us be receptive to such thoughts from those around us. We can do this by taking up again the thought expressed in the first part of our meditation. Like the rising sun, I shed the light of peace all around. Let us do this for a minute or two together now. Friends, I'm glad that we have had this time to do our reflection and meditation and to remind ourselves where the light is to be found. It is always a help and a pleasure to be together.